first episode of Down Home with the Rambling Southern Gentleman. Leah, thank you for joining me today.
You're welcome.
I'm glad to have you. And just bear with us while we work out the bugs in this, since it's our first episode. I hope it goes smoother the next one. And I think for the episodes, we're going to have a featured Southern food for each episode. And today, we're eating tomato sandwiches.
You're eating tomato sandwiches.
Well, I made you one.
I'm going to have a really hard time getting that down.
Okay. So you mean to tell me you grew up in Alabama your whole life and have not taken a liking to tomato sandwiches?
Absolutely. I don't like them.
Why? Why don't you like them?
I don't like the texture of a tomato.
Okay. All right. So a little texture issue.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I love them. And the best ones are made by homegrown tomatoes.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can't get homegrown tomatoes, the best you can get is Chandler Mountain tomatoes. And that is the tomato capital of Alabama.
Wow.
But let me tell you about my $84 tomato sandwich.
Spill it.
I had a hankering for a tomato sandwich one night. Well, this is when I lived in town and a new grocery store had opened, so I thought it was a perfect time to go check out the new grocery store. And they're known for their buy one, get ones. Well, I went down there, and it was probably about 7 o'clock in the evening, and I grabbed me a little basket. Didn't need a buggy because I just went after things to make a tomato sandwich with. And I saw, buy one, get one this, buy one, get one that. So I had a few more things in my basket and didn't think much of it. And when I got to the checkout, the total kept going up, and I ended up spending $84 after I just went for stuff for a tomato sandwich.
How in the world did you do that?
I'm not sure. I think it was actually the grocery store's fault. Now, they're known for high prices.
Okay.
But I learned my lesson on that one. Daddy actually specializes in tomatoes.
Oh.
He, several years ago, he started going to the U Pickett fields on Chandler Mountain, and he has become known as the Mater Man around town.
Well.
He brings tomatoes to people who don't get out much, to older people. He brings them to my work, and I know everybody enjoys them. So he's become a bit of a Mater Man, or known as the Mater Man.
Okay.
I should have just got my tomatoes from him for that sandwich.
You should have.
But I know he's a blessing to many people, and people stop me all the time and they'll ask, well, when's your daddy coming by with another batch of tomatoes? And also, for the show, we're going to have a weekly Southern word or Southern phrase.
Mm-hmm.
And for our first show, it's cankered and carny. Now, have you ever heard that used?
Only by you.
Only by me.
Yes.
And like I said, you grew up in Alabama.
I did, but I grew up in Birmingham.
Okay. Well, after I researched those words and that term, it turns out that it's a little bit of Scottish and Old English, and I grew up north of Birmingham at the foothills of the Appalachians.
I actually heard on TikTok someone saying those words and saying that it was mountain talk.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. And even though Birmingham's just a hop and a skip away from where I grew up, there's still a world of difference in culture.
Oh, absolutely.
And so it turns out Old English and the way that the words were pronounced. Cankered originates from canker sore, actually from cancer that caused sores, and they were known as cankers. And it means something that's corrupted, decaying, or corrupt in nature. Let's see. Shakespeare uses the word to describe cankered hands. And the word "kjarn" is an Appalachian and Southern dialectal pronunciation of the word carrion, which refers to dead, rotting flesh. The word carrion itself comes from Old Northern French, and its pronunciation shifted to "kjarn" over time, particularly in the American South. The term "kjarn" is used to describe something that smells foul or generally repulsive.
Well, sounds that way.
So, Mama used it. Well, both sides of my family used it the whole time I was growing up. But Mama, after me and my sister would come in from playing, she would say, "Don't sit down on that couch. Y'all are cankered and kjarny." So we had to have our nightly baths before we could get on the couch. Well, the weather today reminds me, well, it's actually been pretty nice. It's starting to get a little hotter, though. But it reminds me of the time me and my cousin Betty got locked out of the state capitol. We had went down for a tour of the Capitol, and I believe we went on a Saturday, and only self-guided tours of the Capitol are available on Saturday, so we didn't have a tour guide. And so we were carousing around the Capitol, and we encountered a lot of people that I believe were looking down their noses at us or wondering what we were doing there.
Oh.
And it was the type of people that would name a dog Richard or Walter or Agatha. Do you know the type I'm talking about?
I do.
And we actually wandered in the Secretary of State's office, and a nice woman that I assume was the Secretary's secretary was looking at us like we had just busted out of a spaceship. And then the secretary himself walked out and said hello. I think he was a little shocked to see us, but we were just as shocked as they were.
I bet.
So we saw ourselves out pretty quick. And then we were, I don't even know what you call it, in a big hallway, and there seemed to be an exterior door. Well, I went up to the door, and it was unlocked, at least from our side, and I peeked out, and it looked like it was the back porch. And so I motioned for Betty to follow me, and we walked out. Well, as soon as the door closed, I thought to myself, uh-oh, I better check to see if we can get back in. That was not the case. It was locked. And I panicked, and because we were stuck out on the back patio of the state capitol with no one around. And there was a fence or a balustrade around that patio. And it was a Saturday. So the capitol was pretty empty.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how we were going to get out. And so I started looking around, and I looked across the back lawn, and I saw that there was no fence around there where all the flagpoles are. So we found a way down off the concrete patio there and traipsed across the side lawn of the Capitol, headed towards the Avenue of Flags so we could get back to a sidewalk. And we encountered a very serious state trooper on our way to that sidewalk.
Oh.
He wanted to know what we were doing there and why we were walking across the side lawn of the state capitol.
Well, I'm glad y'all didn't get arrested.
Well, I had to explain to him that dummy me had walked out the back door and turned back, and it was locked when it closed behind us. He was helpful, but it was a little alarming.
Mm-hmm.
There were several other troopers staring at us while he was talking to us. But we went to the Capitol.
We did.
This was, of course, a different time. Um, I like touring the Capitol.
Mm-hmm. It was fun.
I believe we bridged the gap of international diplomacy while we were on the tour. Now, we had a guided tour that time,
Yes, we did.
but there were a group of some people from France
Yeah.
in our group. And the reason I believe we bridged the diplomatic gap between countries is we spoke a little of their language.
We did. We ended up laughing in French with them.
We did. We didn't actually speak French, but we laughed in their language.
We did.
I feel like they went home back to France with their hearts full.
Yes, absolutely.
But speaking of ending up in places you don't belong,
Mm-hmm.
let me tell you a story about this woman named Lola.
Tell me.
So I was outside playing. I was probably 8 or 9 years old, and we lived way back in the woods, way off the road, and we had several four-wheeler trails back in the woods, and our house sits on the top of the hill, and I was playing in the yard, and I heard a car and looked off the hill, and there was a old Buick Century sitting across the creek at the opening of our four-wheeler trails. Now, we had a bridge spanning the creek, but it was only wide enough for a four-wheeler to go over.
Mm-hmm.
And I was amazed. I don't know. To this day, I don't know how she got that Buick across that creek. Now, the creek was dry, but the creek had steep banks. And so I ran and got Daddy,
Mm-hmm.
and he came out and walked to the bottom of the hill. And this woman was standing outside of the car looking around. Now, this was before cell phones.
Mm-hmm.
And Daddy went up and talked to her, and she told Daddy that she had grown up in the area when she was a little girl, and she saw our driveway, which at that time was dirt, and thought she would go back and see if that's where her old home place was.
Mm-hmm.
And Daddy said, well, how did you get across the creek? And she said, well, I'm really not sure, but I think the front end of my car's messed up.
Mm.
And she said, I've been around on some very narrow trails. And Daddy said, those are four-wheeler trails. And to this day, how she made it out with both side view mirrors intact, I don't know.
That's something.
But also, I hate to say this and sound insensitive, but she had a bit of a smell problem.
Oh.
Yeah. But anyway, Daddy agreed to help her get that Buick back across the creek.
Uh-huh.
And if you've never seen a late 80s blue Buick Century clear a creek where the wheels barely touch the creek bed, it was honestly like something off the Dukes of Hazzard. And speaking of cars, one time I was visiting Aunt Pat and Uncle John in South Carolina. And they always try to entertain me when I'm visiting,
Yes.
as a good host does. And so we went on a trip to Greenville one day, which I believe is about an hour from their house, maybe 45 minutes. And Greenville was a very pleasant place, very pretty.
Mm-hmm.
I would call it a gem in the crown of the South.
Mm-hmm.
And so we parked on a hill, parallel park by the sidewalk, which I cannot parallel park, but Uncle John, expert.
Okay.
So we all got out, and Aunt Pat popped the trunk to get something out or put her purse in. I'm not sure what she was digging for back there. Well, Uncle John is rather particular about his parking, and he noticed he wasn't quite where he wanted to be, so he got back in the car, started it, put it in gear to pull up about 6 inches. Aunt Pat missed the part where Uncle John got back in the car and even started it, even though I feel like she would have had the hot muffler blowing on her knee.
Yeah.
And when the car started moving up, she panicked, thought he had left it out of gear and on the hill, and she sat down and grabbed the back of that bumper, and Uncle John drug her a good foot, maybe foot and a half. But the cherry on top of that story is there was a group of about 20 Japanese tourists on the sidewalk taking pictures of the views, and when they saw the commotion going on, they started taking snapshots of Aunt Pat being drugged on her fanny down the hill.
That is hilarious. She's in someone's scrapbook.
Absolutely, and there's probably about 15 photo albums over in Japan right now, sitting on someone's bookshelf, that has my redheaded Aunt Pat.
Uh-huh.
Probably multiple pictures, as she had her head thrown back, looking up at me, wondering why I wasn't helping her.
Uh-huh.
But she was okay. A little messed up, and it looked like she had sat in something, but thankfully she was not hurt. And we went on to explore South Carolina.
Well,
So,
never a dull moment with Aunt Pat and Uncle John.
Never a dull moment with them. I love to visit them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's already time to take a break. So when we come back, we'll be discussing our main story,
Okay.
the Lutz murder.
All right. I'm ready.
So stay tuned. Okay, now that we're back, let's talk about our main story,
Okay.
the Lutz murder.
Ooh.
Now, I'm going to tell this like it was told to me and my sister when we were small children by Daddy.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of his favorite stories to tell. And it takes place in Gallant, Alabama,
Mm-hmm.
and just past the Etowah County line in St. Clair County.
Okay.
So Jacob and Marcella Lutz. Oh, I forgot. The year is 1911.
Okay.
So Jacob and Marcella Lutz were a relatively wealthy couple in the area, for the area.
Yes.
And he was known as a good businessman.
Mm-hmm.
And he would make loans to locals and neighbors to get their crops started for the year. And he was quite successful as a farmer himself. And so they were known to be wealthy. And he was very generous. I believe he either donated money or donated the land for one of the Methodist churches in Attala when it was founded.
Oh.
And they lived in I don't know if you would call it a cove or a valley, but it was over in the Rock Bridge area, and it was rather secluded.
Mm-hmm.
But they were known to be very hospitable people.
Okay.
Very nice. And it was not unusual for them to offer for any visitors to stay for supper.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was not uncommon. So one day, people at the local store just across the mountain started to notice that they had not seen Jacob in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And he would regularly take his wagon over to the store. And so they became a little concerned.
Mm-hmm.
And so they went to check on the couple. And when they got to the cabin, there were no signs of life outside.
Oh.
And so they decided to kind of look around and see what they could find. They knocked on the door. There was no answer. they tried to open the door, and it was locked. And so they lifted a little boy up on a man's shoulders to look through the window in the cabin. And what he saw was rather gruesome.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yes. Turns out that they were offed by an axe.
Ooh.
And the odd thing about it was the table had been set for a meal.
Oh.
And it appears that they had fed their murderer.
Oh.
Yeah. So it really, that there wasn't much evidence just by that to point if the murderer was known to them or if it was a stranger, because they were known to feed anyone who
Yeah.
came by. And there were empty coin purses and items on the floor that led you to believe that they had been robbed after they were murdered. And there was a big manhunt, and all the locals, of course, got involved, and a team of investigators started on the manhunt to try to find who had killed this elderly couple.
Mm.
And
How old were they? Do we know around what age?
I'm not sure.
But they were elderly.
I know that it can be found out there, but I'm not sure. I believe they were probably late 60s, maybe in their 70s. And actually, for that time period, that was
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
quite old.
A long life. Yeah.
But anyway, they had a daughter who attended college out of state, and she came back by train to prepare the services for the Lutzes, and she hired a private investigator. And from what I read later, she paid quite a large sum, a daily sum, to this private investigator. Of course, the state had their investigators, and there is a creek that runs through the old home place there, and up the creek from the Luke's home place was a swimming hole called the Sally Hole. And then on up above that, there was a mill. And of course, a little mill pond had been formed there at the mill. And along the creek, the investigators actually got the locals to dam up the water so they could search for the weapon, the axe.
Oh.
And if you look out there, you can find pictures on the internet of the local men who were part of the search party. And come to find out, their murderers are actually in the picture.
Oh, gosh.
After a long investigation, it was found that 3 locals had carried out the murder, and they actually helped the investigators look for the weapon. Now, I'm not sure if they confessed or not. I can't remember. That was not part of Daddy's story. But there was actually, I believe, a preacher was accused before the 3 were brought to justice. A preacher, I believe it was a preacher, was accused. He had gone missing the night they had pinpointed as the night of the murder. He was unaccounted for, and it was reported that his horse showed back up panting and sweating. And people thought that he had committed the murders.
Mm-hmm.
But the three went through the justice system and was convicted of the murders and served time.
Mm.
But then there was something that changed.
Uh-oh.
Now, this was not part of Daddy's story.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Daddy actually knew this until a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a lady who lived in Gallant, and she wrote a little book called Murder in Greasy Cove.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe I have the title wrong. Maybe it's called Searching for Greasy Cove.
I remember seeing that book in your car.
Yes. She wrote a book, and it was about how her grandfather confessed to the murders on his deathbed.
Oh, was he the preacher?
No,
Okay.
no. But she wrote this book, and it's a very good book. I've read it a couple of times, but it's been a few years since I have read it.
Mm-hmm.
And in it, she is trying to find out information about her family, and she stumbles across this story about her grandfather confessing on his deathbed.
Mm.
And his confession has been disputed.
Mm-hmm.
I believe there was no motive.
Yeah,
and-
why would he
Right.
do it?
Well, I guess the motive would have been money.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of her family vehemently denies that he couldn't have committed the murder, and that his story doesn't line up, and the timeline is off. But I think if you're confessing on your deathbed, you may get a few details wrong and
Yeah.
mixed up,
True.
especially later in life
Mhm.
after so many years have passed.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're confessing to a murder, what motive would you have to confess unless you actually really did it?
Yeah.
Because by this time, the ones who were convicted of it have served time,
Mhm.
and so I view it as someone trying to relieve their conscience.
Before they go, absolutely.
Right. But that's a very interesting book.
Mhm.
But that story has been a part of my life, well, ever since I was old enough to hear the story.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, my family owns the property that the old home site was located on.
Oh.
And I've been over there several times. Of course, the cabin's gone now. My mother did metal detect it years and years and years ago, and of course we found old nails, and you could tell they were hand fashioned,
Mm-hmm.
and parts of the foundation of the cabin is
Oh,
still
wow.
there. So, as a history buff, that's always been a story that I've enjoyed hearing. And like I said, it turns out that those three guys were in the search party
That's so crazy.
and were the ones who participated in damming up the creek to try to find the weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that story deserves its own podcast.
Oh, definitely.
So that may be something we dive into
Mm-hmm.
in the future.
Yeah. So before we move on, how long were they in the cabin before they were found?
Well, I'm not exactly sure. I know that, like I said, Jacob was a regular at the local general store. And he was missed for a couple of days before they went looking. So I'm not exactly sure how long from the time the murder took place until they were found. I would assume a couple of days, maybe 3 days.
Well, I feel terrible for the kid that had to see through the window. Why
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
they were wealthy. Didn't they have a ladder somewhere?
Well, I guess they couldn't find the ladder. But yeah, if I was that little kid, that would have been something
Trauma.
I wouldn't have forgot ever.
No.
I would have, I probably would have fussed at the man that put me on his shoulders.
So that they were wealthy. Do you know what happened to their wealth after their demise?
Well, back then, wealth, of course, meant money, cash, silver, gold, but also land, property, mules, hogs. I'm not exactly sure. Of course, there was no money found in the cabin.
Oh.
And it's my understanding from the stories that Daddy told, they did not trust banks, which was not uncommon during that time. Not uncommon at all. So I would have assumed any cash or gold coin or whatever they may have had would have been kept in the cabin. And of course, that's why they were killed.
Yeah.
But for years that story has been passed down, and there's been people who have suggested that maybe they had money buried on the property.
Probably.
Which would have been very common, a common practice during that time period. And from what I was told, some of my family, after we acquired the land, went digging and dug up half of St. Clair County, and there was nothing to be found whatsoever. But now, they had the daughter.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what happened to her after the murders. I know she came home from school. I assume she went back. And but then again, if all of their money had been stolen, I don't know if she would have been able to support going back to school out of state.
And she spent a lot on the private investigator.
She did. From what I learned from reading about the murders, she did. She paid a pretty penny for the private investigator. But apparently it was not money well spent if the deathbed confession is to be believed. So it is an odd story because, you had these three guys that were convicted by a jury of their peers for the murders. But I feel like that time era, and maybe I'm wrong about this, was a lot like the Wild West. And so the public knew that this older sweet couple had been murdered and their money stolen. And if these three guys were arrested for that, then they must have done it.
Yeah.
And probably a lot of mob mentality going on. They said they done it, so they must have, and we need justice right now, even though the evidence may have not been as substantial as it should have been. So who knows?
Yeah.
I did read a few paper articles about the trial. It took place in Asheville.
Oh, wow.
And the Asheville Square was covered with people.
Oh, I bet.
During the trial. A lot of people came to town for that. So I do believe, and murder back then was very uncommon.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, it would have been big news, probably big news all over the South, and may have even made it into national papers.
Oh, yeah.
Well, now it's time for another break.
Okay.
And when we come back, we'll wrap it up.
All right.
Well, welcome back from the break. During the break, I was able to finish off my tomato sandwich, but I see you've still not touched yours.
No, not going to happen.
Well, there's something we got to discuss, since tomato sandwiches is the featured food of this episode that I didn't cover earlier. That's the choice of mayonnaise.
Okay.
Now, growing up, I lived off of the cheap Sawyer's mayonnaise
Mm-hmm.
that would turn clear as soon as it hit oxygen outside of the jar. And then I discovered Duke's, and I've been a die-hard Duke's fan for years.
Oh, I know it.
But I'll have to say, recently, I have started using Hellman's on some things.
What?
Yeah.
Are you trying to be ran out of the South?
No, maybe I should have kept that under my hat.
Maybe.
But oh well. Moving on.
So, for years, I've heard your friends bring up this story about a flying Martian,
Yeah.
but I want to hear it because I've never heard it. I've just heard talk of it.
Okay. So, it's not a flying Martian.
Oh,
It's a flying Marvin.
oh,
And I get requests to tell that story quite often.
okay.
It's funnier when I'm really tickled about it,
Mm-hmm.
and I usually do get tickled
Mhm.
when I tell the story. So, when I was in high school, of course, I rode the cheese wagon,
Yes.
the school bus. And so, one morning, as we were cresting the hill at the old fire department, the bus driver came to a stop and threw on the air brakes, and I knew what that meant.
Mm.
That meant drills. Every year, the bus there has to be a fire drill on the bus.
That's the craziest. They did not do that when I was in school.
Well, times have changed.
Uh-huh.
So with these drills, there's 3 ways you have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
The first one, of course, you have to be sitting still on the bus, and then the driver jumps out of her seat and yells fire and gives you the direction you have to go out. So the first one is everybody out the front door,
Mm-hmm.
the main door. So she jumps up, everybody off, yells everybody off through the front,
Mm-hmm.
and she has to time it. And we have to be off that bus in, I think it's like 20 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And she gives us the statistics of how long it takes for a bus to be completely engulfed, and it's like scary fast.
Mm.
So we do the first drill, everybody off the front.
Mhm.
And we all get off, and we did it under the time allotted. The next one you have to do is a split.
Oh.
Everybody from a certain number of chairs back have to go out the back and half out the front.
Mm-hmm.
So she jumps up and gives the order. Everybody from the wheel wells back, off the back, and everybody else out the front. So we do that,
Mm-hmm.
and we beat the time. Well, the last one is everybody off the back of the bus. And I should have said when I was explaining the half drill, whoever is sitting in the 2 back seats, they have to help everybody off the back of the bus.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've never hopped out of the back of a bus, it's a longer jump than what you would think.
I never have.
So, of course, that morning I was sitting on the back seat, and I believe it was my cousin Jessie
Mm-hmm.
was sitting in the other seat across the aisle. And us being 2 guys, she designated us as the helper routers.
Mm-hmm.
So we successfully completed that half drill, and then when it came to everybody off the back of the bus, it started.
Mm-hmm.
And it came Teresa's turn. And Teresa has multiple not MS. I can't remember. She has a birth condition, and she needs a little extra help.
Mm-hmm.
So we were helping her down, and she decided the best way for her to get out is to fall flat on her tush and slide out
Oh.
while we assist her down.
Mm-hmm.
And we were in midway of that process, and I just thought somebody threw a backpack over Teresa's head.
Mm-hmm.
It happened so fast. And because all I saw was this dark colored blob going over our heads.
Mm-hmm.
And I immediately thought, now who's throwing backpacks off of the back of the bus? Well, at the same time, it happened so fast, but yet it felt like 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
In that same instance, I heard Teresa start screaming, "My shunt, my shunt."
Oh.
And then I hear what I thought was the backpack splat on the ground, and it seemed like it was 20 feet from the back of the bus. and so, and we were on a hill, and so whatever it was rolling. But then I noticed it was also whimpering and squalling.
Oh.
Yeah. So what had happened was this kid named Marvin,
Mm-hmm.
I believe that was his name. That's what I've told all these years, so we're going to stick with Marvin.
Okay.
Had flat footed just jumped over Teresa. I don't know if he thought if we were on fire. I mean, we had done the first two parts of this drill, but I mean, he came out of the back of that bus like he had been shot out of a cannon. And he kicked poor Teresa in the head with his feet as he went over her. And now Teresa is sitting on the ground crying, holding her head. She had had a shunt inserted to relieve pressure in the cranium.
Mm-hmm.
And poor Teresa was afraid that she had been kicked in the shunt.
Oh, no.
And Marvin is laying, he had rolled down the hill a bit, and he had broken his arm.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. So, of course, at that point, the drill was canceled.
Oh, uh-huh.
And the bus driver, Danette, herded us all back up on the bus.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to sit there and wait for the principal of the school and the paramedics to come. And thankfully, in the old the fire department there,
Mm-hmm.
the paramedics had a little station, so they were pretty quick. But while we were waiting on the principal, this girl who was in band, who just happened to have her clarinet there, thought it was the appropriate time to drag it out and serenade us while we listened to Teresa cry.
What did she play?
I couldn't tell you. I did not recognize the tune, but I couldn't tell you. And that is the story of the Flying Marvin.
Wow.
But I've got something that I saw on the news here
Okay.
that we need to talk about. Murder hornets.
Oh, no.
Apparently, they're still coming for us. Now, we heard about this during the pandemic,
Yes.
but apparently they're making another comeback.
Mm.
And I'm telling you, I've seen pictures of them, and they're so big they need their own social security numbers.
Mm.
And my piece of advice when dealing with them is not to use the cheap bug spray, wasp spray from the dollar store. Now, it may say instant kill or kills on contact.
Uh-huh.
That's a joke.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as the stream of that stuff started spraying, they came after me.
Oh, no.
Now, you talking about a 6'4", 6'5", pretty hefty guy screaming like a little girl running through his front yard. And I did not escape them.
Oh, no.
They got me right up under the arm in the sweetmeat.
Oh, my goodness. So where did you hear about this? Where did you hear this from?
Well, I wish I could remember. It might have been on TikTok. It might have been on the news. I can't remember for sure. But they had the name of this murder hornet expert under him, and and it was something like Buford Cleotis Stone Cipher or something. And in my mind, I was like, what does he do? Build banjos? I mean, it doesn't sound like, just by the name, he was an insect expert. But apparently, he is. And he is a great authority on these suckers. And I just hope I never encounter one.
Listen, you never know about a Buford.
Well, that's true. You know the name's serious. He's going to know what he's talking about, whether it's building banjos or murder hornets.
Yeah, investigating murder.
That's right. It's a solid name, a good Southern name.
That's right.
But now that wasp incident took place on my porch, and I'm telling you what, my porch, it must be. You could film an episode of Wild Kingdom on my porch. I've got wasps, I've got possums.
There's been a snake very close.
Well, let me tell you about the snake now. I was walking out the door going to work one morning, and I had my little lunch bag in my hand. And of course, that early in the morning, I'm in a daze. And I walk out the front door, open the storm door, walk out. And immediately, out of the corner of my, there's a brick ledge about a little shorter than waist height on the wall there, and that's where the siding starts. Out of the corner of my eye, I notice this pattern, this long pattern, a long something with a pattern on it, and it was a little brownish gray. And all of a sudden, something popped in my hand, and my immediate thought was rattlesnake. Because the color, the pattern, I didn't get a good look at it. It was just out of the corner of my eye, and my hand was, below waist height, right at that brick ledge. And I'm telling you, I became a dance expert.
Oh.
Immediately.
I bet.
Without any lessons whatsoever. I could have been on Dancing with the Stars, because I'm telling you, I cut a jig from my front door down the steps. I just knew I'd been bit by a rattlesnake. I was screaming like a little girl.
Wow.
And when it happened, I slung that lunch bag clear over to the neighbor's yard. But anyway, after I caught my breath and went back up there when I noticed that I had not been bit, it was a rat snake stretched out there on that ledge, and apparently when it struck at me, of course its teeth didn't catch me. It just bumped its nose to my hand. But you're talking about a jump scare.
Yeah, I imagine.
Well, unfortunately, it looks like our time has come to an end for today. Thanks again for joining me, and I look forward to more episodes with you.
Absolutely.
And if I can just leave you with a little poem that one of my college instructors told us one time.
Okay.
Love is a thing of beauty, and beauty is a blossom. If you want to get your finger bit, go poke it at a possum. See y'all next time.
Bye.